On this episode, we revisit some recent meet and greets with two of the recruiters that went, Collette and Maggie Hammer. Atlas All Access starts now.
Good afternoon.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's good to see you in the chair again.
I love it.
And then Maggie, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
I know you filled in for us a couple of times, and I appreciate you being here to talk about these. These are things that at the first of the year we talked about. We wanted to do more of, right? We wanted to get out more than we did last year, and get to see our nurses in hospitals on that more one-to-one level. So two very recent meet and greets. You've probably seen some of the videos so far. Maggie took a group out to Arizona, out to Phoenix and Scottsdale, and saw some baseball and hung out and did some snowboarding. You look like you had a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
Yeah, and then Adam went with Matt Polinsky, client manager for Duke University.
Yep.
Shocking that you went to Duke.
Love my Dukies.
Yeah, and then did some meet and greets there with some nurses and visited some hospitals.
Yep.
So Maggie, let's start with you. How did the Arizona meet and greet start? How did it grow? And then let's talk a little bit about what you did while you were there.
Right. Well, we have, tons of nurses down, in the valley, of course, which is why we thought, okay, why not go down? We also have a new account down at Tucson Medical Center. So I know Mike Combs, our client manager, was like, you know what, let's just get something together down there. So, being from Arizona, he invited me along. I do have quite a few nurses down there as well. So we stayed with my parents. Super ideal. They live in Cave Creek, just north of Scottsdale area. And we hit, all the way from Scottsdale, Tucson, back to Scottsdale, went up to Flagstaff. So, just covered everywhere we could out there.
A ton of miles. You guys drove a ton of miles.
We did. It was go, go, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it yet, we did one of our meet and greet videos that you can find out on the YouTube channel. I'm sure they'll put that right down here somewhere for us. So you can go get that whole recap of the trip that you guys did out there. We also have a recruiter out there who that is living out there for now because she's dating a guy that plays for the Kansas City Royals and was there with a number of nurses already. So
Right.
you kind of joined up with Sydney.
Right. It was amazing. She's made a ton of good friends out there. A few who are hoping to, hop on board and join us at Atlas. But it's just super cool. Like the vibes that they have, the connections that they've made. They go to Nikki's games. You would have thought Sid grew up down there,
That's awesome.
Everybody who was out and about. So.
Yeah, it seems like from the pictures that I've seen and the conversations that I've had with her, it's almost like she belongs down there. She belongs in Arizona.
I know she's bummed to come back, but
I wouldn't want to come back to this weather either. I'd want to stay in Arizona weather too. So give me one of the takeaways, like maybe one of the biggest takeaways from that whole thing. Like if you came back and you said, I really, as much as you've been out to events and conferences and stuff like that before, give me one of those takeaways that you had from that.
Coming back, it was super weird. We were thinking back on it, and we're like, what would we change? And there was nothing that would come to mind. Typically, these meet and greets are a bit overwhelming, and you're exhausted by the time you come home. Because you're working, managing your desk on top of trying to entertain 10 to 40 people. So I think that the biggest thing down there was just like the appreciation from the nurses. They were all just go with the flow, joined us at every single event. Drove 2 hours south, 2 hours north. They were just appreciative, Of course, we like to take care of them and pay for things out there, but I think this was such a huge success, and allowed us like the financial flexibility there because these nurses, you get out there and they want to take care of you,
Right.
So
which I thought was a really fun sort of, as much as we go to these different events and, we're the sponsor, so, dinner's on us or whatever, you did the snowboarding event where the nurses that went with you paid for their own gear, right? They just wanted to go hang out and go snowboarding.
It was hilarious. We had quite a few newbies who had never been on a board before.
Which is even better.
Oh yeah. We loaded up the car with just a ton of extra gear, everything that we could. But they bought their lift ticket for $100, rented gear for $100. It was a $200-300 day, and they all just wanted to come out,
And they just wanted to go hang out and do it. That's fantastic.
It was awesome.
So, all right. So then shifting gears to Duke.
Yep.
How did that come about? Like, I know that Matt Polinsky, our client manager there for Duke, he has a number of nurses working in that facility already. Was that kind of the reason why?
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt had tried to gone out to Duke last year with Steve Ryan, and weather problems on the way there. They missed their time frame, and their contact basically said, I don't have any more time this day, and they were going to Charlotte or somewhere else the next day as well. So it wasn't like they had to leave. They basically drove by the hospital and left town on that. So he rescheduled it, went out there. I think he's got 15 so travelers in Duke University Hospital System. So we had a good platform of people that were already there. We got to meet with his contact at the hospital. We didn't get like a huge tour of the hospital or anything, but got to spend about an hour and a half and just hear what his contact does on a daily basis, why they do what they do, why they're looking for the specific candidates that they are. It's super interesting to get behind the scenes of what those people do on a daily basis. And Duke's one that doesn't work with an MSP. It's a guy at the hospital, and this guy's on the floor. He's in trainings, he's hiring and letting go of people. Like this guy has jack of all trades. So just cool, super cool to hear behind the scenes of what he's doing. So we did an axe throwing event the first night we were there, which these axe throwing places seem to be popping up all around the country. So much fun. I mean, we probably had 10 people out. It wasn't a huge group, but maybe 10 to 15 with our Atlas people that were there as well. So much fun. We had 2.5 hours. They have an axe throwing guide essentially that's with you and tells you how to do it and everything. And I pick up on things super quick most of the time. It was super hard. I thought it was going to be fun. I thought it was going to be super fun, and we were super frustrated on throwing an axe at a wood wall. But so much fun. They put a little tournament on at the end and everything. So all the travelers that came out were super appreciative and had a good time. The second night after our meeting with Duke, we actually went to the Duke campus and walked around for about 2.5 hours. They have an awesome botanical gardens right there on campus. Obviously went and walked around the sports facilities and everything, so super fun. And then we went to Tobacco Road Sports Cafe, which is part of the Durham Bowl Stadium, the minor league baseball stadium. Looks out over the stadium. But we had about 20 people come out and just bought dinner. They have these giant nacho plates that can feed probably 10 people at a time. So we had got a couple of those, and then people ordered some dinner. But really just sat around and talked about everybody's experiences of traveling. And it was awesome. And you know, my takeaway from that is this job is so weird that you don't get to meet people face to face very often, unless they drive through Omaha, or you go to TravCon in Vegas, or you go on these meet and greets. But to actually get to shake somebody's hand, share a meal with them, break bread with them, have a drink, and just show that they're a normal person, we are normal people behind the phones, it totally changes the aspect of what we do. Because on a day-to-day basis, we just don't meet travelers. And it changes that aspect, and it makes those hard conversations a lot easier down the road on there. So I love going to do these things. It takes away from time on your desk. It takes away from time on your family, but it's invaluable to get out there and shake hands and get to meet these people. If they're your travelers or if they're somebody else's, I just love hearing people's stories of their why, of why they're out there and do those things. So.
And I give them mad props too. Like, one thing that I noticed, because I think, okay, I'm young, we have the flexibility to be remote. Like, why not go be a remote recruiter like these nurses? But that takes like courage. I mean, I think about like picking up and going, and you see them in their element and like the little lives that they live. It's like I give them mad props because they have a blast, and it takes like a special person to get out there and just do it.
It is. And I joked around, I had a young lady that actually works at Duke University Hospital and had her come out, and how weird is that for her? She doesn't even work for us, doesn't even know, hey, we're coming in town, come meet up with us. Like, and she took a chance and came out, and she met some of our other Atlas travelers. And it was cool to see the other travelers sell her on why she should work with Atlas. It was awesome.
Right.
I think that brings up my last question is, and this is a conversation you and I have had a number of times, and I already know the answer to this question here, but I think it's important because I've written about it a few times, is when you go on one of these events, either of you or any, like Sydney or Tara or whoever else that was with you while you were out there, how much actual recruiting do you do?
I mean, it
You
depends
yourself,
because
you
recruiting.
yourself.
I mean,
How much
there's
do you sell Atlas? How's that?
there's no sales pitch. There's nothing. I mean, you just go to hang out. It's like picking your friends. You know, you go, you have a great time. I feel weird sometimes. Someone's like, "Hey, do you have a business card?" I'm like, "Oh wait, crap. You know, I do. But here, just take. You know, let's just exchange numbers quick. Like, you know, no strings attached." But there's no pressure. There's not at all.
Yeah, and the same thing. I mean, especially at that dinner, the second night, like I said, I mean, I kind of sat back and just facilitated different conversations. But it was our nurses that have worked for us that were there, and even some other nurses with some other companies throwing in their perspective of what their company does and things they've heard about Atlas as well. But these are definitely not recruiting, you know, job fair, anything like that. It's more of a thank you and get people together and get them outside of their element. So I had a nurse that was probably one of my first nurses 4.5 years ago that I finally got to meet out there, and it was super cool.
Yep.
I mean, it was super cool. She's worked for me for 4 years and had never really got to meet her, and got that checked off the bucket list. So
That's
very
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, that's like I said. I've written about it a few times now, and it's one of those things that I get it. Like, our industry has been one way for so long that if you get invited to one of these things, or you hear that Atlas is going to be in town, and you think, I don't really want to be sold, right? It's not. It's not that at all. And if you've ever run across us anywhere, you know that that's not it. And I think that's one of the things that I'm very proud of, that kind of sets us apart. We don't have to sell ourselves. We don't have to tell you why you should be with us. Just come out and hang out, and let's have fun.
Yep.
Right? That's
No doubt.
let's go on some adventures. Let's go snowboarding. I'm so jealous of the amount of baseball that Sydney is getting to watch out in Arizona right now. Insanely jealous. I actually posted that on Facebook not too long ago. So Maggie, Adam, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys being with us today.
No problem.
So,
Thank you.
Adam, don't be a stranger.
Will not.
That chair is yours, so, you know.
sure.
If you hear about an Atlas event and you're interested, you can always message me. I'd be able to give you any of the details. Even if I'm not going to be there, I probably know the details, or I'll be able to find the details for you. There could be some meet and greets coming here in the Pacific Northwest coming up pretty soon. I'm not exactly sure when, but I know that those might be coming, so keep your eye out for those on Atlas and Friends, or talk to your recruiter about them if you're up in that area.
I would say, you know, these aren't put on by management or anything. These are really recruiter or client manager driven, and it's really driven by people in a large area. So if you have a group of people in your area that you're getting together with and want to try to plan something, reach out to a recruiter or Maggie or myself. We have a budget within Atlas to do these things, and we just have to put a proposal together and make sure that it's in line with what we have budgeted or what other trips are already planned. But like I said, I love getting out and do them, so don't be afraid to ask.
Would take any excuse to get out there.
That's what I was going to say. Give me a reason to not be in the snow.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. So
Have a great week.
we'll see you next week.